An aging pilot, a deadly mission, and one last chance to prove he's still the best. Top Gun, Maverick, where speed meets danger, and the stakes have never been higher. The year is 1969, and the U.S. Navy has just launched its prestigious school for fighter pilots, Fighter Weapons School. But among the recruits and Navy men, it is famously known as Top Gun. The airbase buzzes with excitement as young, talented pilots gear up for their mission. Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell storms onto the base with his motorcycle, his fearless reputation preceding him. He's ready for his next mission to test a prototype aircraft with incredible speed and maneuverability. However, his excitement is short-lived when he learns that Rear Admiral Chester Hammer Kane is on his way to shut down the program due to safety concerns. Undeterred, Maverick takes to the skies in the scramjet, and with a flick of his wrist, pushes the jet to its limits, surpassing the projected Mach 9 speed and reaching an astonishing Mach 10. The crew is in awe as they watch the jets soar through the skies, but Maverick's thirst for speed and adrenaline takes over. He pushes the jet even further, and disaster strikes as the scramjet crashes, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Maverick is left shaken, but unharmed, and Rear Admiral Kane is furious. However, before he can discipline Maverick, he receives an unexpected call. Maverick is being called back to NAS North Island. When Maverick arrives at the base, he's greeted by two high-ranking officials, Cyclone and Warlock, who brief him on the mission. Maverick's task is to train pilots to infiltrate a rogue nation's uranium facility and destroy it. But Maverick is plagued with doubt. He doesn't believe he is what it takes to lead the new recruits to success. Cyclone is quick to agree with Maverick's doubts, but Warlock sees something in him that others don't. Warlock believes that Maverick's fearless and unconventional methods are exactly what recruits need to succeed in a dimly lit bar. Maverick is caught off guard when he comes face to face with his ex-girlfriend, Penny Benjamin. He left her years ago without any explanation, causing a rift between him and her father, who was Maverick's former superior officer. Despite their complicated past, Penny welcomes him with open arms, much to Maverick's surprise. However, he soon becomes uneasy when Penny insists on buying drinks for everyone in the bar, including the new group of cocky pilots, as the night wears on. The new pilots, including the confident and brash Jake Hangman Series, begin to brag about their skills. The group also includes the talented Natasha Phoenix, Trace the Dependable, Robert Bob Floyd, the revenge-driven Ruben Payback, Fitch, and the excitable Mickey Fanboy. Garcia Maverick can't help but feel a sense of unease around them, especially when Bradley Rooster Bradshaw, the son of his late best friend Goose, joins the group to make matters worse. Maverick's credit card has declined, and he is playfully thrown out of the bar by Hangman. And Payback outside, he finds solace in the sound of Rooster playing the piano, a reminder of Goose's musical talents and the guilt that still haunts Maverick over his friend's death, feeling a sense of obligation to settle his debt. Maverick returns to the bar and hands Penny an envelope of cash. The next day, she invites him to join her on her boat, and they spend some time together, reminiscing about old times and trying to reconcile their past. As the pilots prepare for the next round of exercises, Maverick delivers a stern briefing on the dangers of flying too high and losing consciousness from lack of oxygen. He stresses the critical importance of maintaining proper altitude for the success of their mission in the air. Rooster's cautious flying stands out while Hangman brings up Maverick's past friendship, with Goose sparking a heated argument between Rooster and Hangman. The other pilots step in to break up the fight. Maverick's former rival and colleague, Ice, reaches out to him for a visit. Unfortunately, Ice can only communicate through a computer due to his throat cancer. During their conversation, Maverick expresses his concern about working with Rooster, fearing that he may meet the same fate as Goose. However, Ice insists that Maverick must work with Rooster closely, reminding him that the new pilots need him more than he realizes. Despite his illness, Ice's words carry immense weight and inspire Maverick to fulfill his mission with newfound determination. As Cyclone steps out onto the runway, he notices that it's early empty. He searches around and finally finds Maverick and the pilots playing beach volleyball shirtless and basking in the sun. Cyclone looks unamused, but Maverick justifies it as a bonding exercise that'll help them work together better, and it seems to be working since the pilots are all laughing and having a good time. After the game, Maverick meets up with Penny again, and they take a walk along the beach. He confides in her that he feels responsible for Rooster and shares the story of how his mother asked him to take care of him before she passed away. The pilots pushed themselves to their limits in an intense training exercise. Their task is to strike a target with pinpoint accuracy. Despite their best efforts, no one can complete the mission successfully. Phoenix's jet even has to be ejected before it crashes into the ground. Maverick criticizes Rooster for his handling of the exercise, sparking a fiery argument about Maverick's supposed interference with Rooster's career. However, their argument is cut short when Warlock arrives with the devastating news that Isis passed away. A mournful funeral is is held to honor Ice's memory, with Maverick, Penny, and the other pilots all in attendance to pay their respects. The weight of their loss hangs heavily in the air, and tensions are high among the pilots as the sun begins to set over the naval base. Cyclone steps up to take over Maverick's instructional duties, but his proposed plan is met with mixed reactions from the pilots, who voiced their doubts about its effectiveness. Meanwhile, on the tarmac, Maverick's F-18 Hornet takes off at breakneck speed, catching the attention of nearby radars as he expertly maneuvers the jet. The other pilots watch in awe as Maverick hits the ground. Target, with only seconds to spare, his remarkable display of skill and precision earns him the respect and admiration of his fellow pilots. Even those who were previously skeptical of his methods, Maverick's flying prowess is undeniable, and he proves once again that he is a force to be reckoned with in the midst of their daring mission. Maverick Hand picks Rooster as his trusted wingman alongside Hangman, Phoenix fanboy, Payback, and Bob. The other pilots are put on standby as they weave through treacherous terrain, dodging missiles at every turn. Rooster falls behind, but quickly gets back on track. Their aircraft carrier unleashes a barrage of Tomahawk missiles on the enemy bases, runway forcing rival jets to scramble back towards them with precise timing and coordination. They launch a missile in the facility, is obliterated, but the enemy is not one to give up easily and sends more pilots after them as they make their escape. Rooster's jet is targeted, but Maverick swoops in to save him. Suddenly, Maverick's jet is hit, sending a careening out of control and crashing. Behind enemy lines, Maverick finds himself being pursued by a helicopter, but just as it takes aim, it explodes in a burst of flames. Rooster appears out of nowhere, having taken down the helicopter to save his friend, but their troubles are far from over, as a missile locks onto Rooster's jet with no other option. Left, Rooster ejects, just in the nick of time, narrowly escaping certain doom. The ground shakes beneath their feet, and gunfire echoes. In the air, Maverick races to devise an escape plan from the enemy's base. He shares his plan with Rooster, who looks at him incredulously with no other option. They head for the F-14. Tonka, they scramble into the jet, and the engines roar to life. The enemy jets are in pursuit, and the sky is filled with bullets and missiles. Maverick takes out 2 enemy planes with bullets and flares. However, they soon run out of ammunition. Rooster and Maverick brace for impact as a 3rd enemy plane approaches. Suddenly, a streak of light shoots across the sky, and the enemy jet explodes in a fiery blaze. Hangman saves them. Maverick and Rooster feel grateful for their unexpected savior. The thrill of the dogfight still courses through their veins as they head back to safety, eager to regroup as Maverick and Rooster step off the plane and onto the deck of the carrier. The cheers and applause of their crewmates fill the air. High fives and pats on the back are exchanged, and even Hangman nods his head and respect towards Rooster, a gesture that was rare for the stoic pilot. But as Maverick looks over at Rooster, he notices something different in his friend's eyes. There's a newfound confidence and bravery there, a look that reminds Maverick of the way Rooster's father used to gaze at him when he was a young pilot. In that moment, Maverick and Rooster share a knowing look, a bond forged. In the heat of battle, they both know the risks they took and the bravery they displayed, and it brings them closer together in the hangar. Rooster lends a hand to Maverick as they work on a vintage P-51 Mustang. Penny appears, and Maverick invites her to take a flight with him. They soar into the sky, the wind whipping through their hair. Back in the hangar, Rooster sets down a photograph of himself and Maverick, placing it next to an old photo of Maverick and Goose, as a symbol of their newfound camaraderie and bond. Tell us what you liked most about this film in the comment section. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video.